Another alarming revelation has been witnessed as 10% of the total of 1,000 medicines tested in the laboratories were found to be of inferior quality. At a time when it is evident that medicine happens to be one of the most thriving businesses, also in terms of massive commissions involved in the trade, the government apathy in monitoring its standard leaves a sad tale to narrate. Good evening, I am Praram Badahal. Let's begin with the main stories. Of the 18,000 medicines, 10% of 1,000 lab-tested drugs found to be of low quality. Monitoring feeble in the pretext of inadequate human resource, public health compromised. Parliamentarian Chandra Bhandari injured in a fire incident related to cooking gas explosion taken to Mumbai for treatment. Inadequate medical attention for patients with burn cases in Nepal a major concern. With increasing cases of embezzlement of depositors' money, Nepal Rashtra Bank to be assigned with regulating responsibility of cooperatives, prohibition on depositing more than 2.5 million rupees. And Nepal braces for a tough match against Scotland in the ongoing ICC World Cricket League 2 series. The outcome of the match will depend on Nepali batters. Medicines are taken to cure illnesses. However, some medicines may not work on everyone and also have side effects. Now, 10% of 1,000 medicines tested in Nepal were found of inferior quality. Now, despite such alarming result, the government has remained indifferent to this sensitive issue. 18,000 brands of Nepali and foreign medicines are registered in the country. With 83 pharmaceutical industries in operation in Nepal, there are around 25,000 pharmacies. However, the government has not paid adequate interest towards the kind of medicines available in the market. Only around 1,000 medicines directly associated with human lives are tested at laboratories every year. Of them, around 10% are found to be of low quality. Given the dire scenario, the regulating authority, Department of Drug Administration, shies away from its responsibility, citing inadequate human resource with only 23 staff at its disposal. Only a minute fraction of medicines available in the market are tested. Even with such low quantity undergoing laboratory tests, 10% are found of low quality, while if the testing parameters are increased, the situation would paint a more frightening picture. Meanwhile, the Association of Pharmaceutical Producers of Nepal has said that much of the errors are made during storage and supply instead of the production phase. Physicians say that consumption of such low-quality drugs does not cure diseases. Instead, it can trigger lifelong side effects. Despite the government being aware about the sales and distribution of low-quality medicines, it has not paid adequate serious interest towards monitoring and regulation. Member of the House of Representatives of Nepali Congress, Chandra Bhandari, who was severely injured in a cooking gas explosion, has been taken to Mumbai for treatment. His mother, Harikala, who was also injured in the incident, passed away earlier this morning. Injured parliamentarian Bhandari has been taken to Mumbai in a chartered flight of Sri Airlines. He will undergo treatment at the National Burn Center of Mumbai. According to Minister for Health and Population Padam Giri, Bhandari was sent to India for further treatment following the recommendation of the doctors at the Kantipur hospital. Bhandari's mother, Harikala, who was also injured in the incident, succumbed to her injuries as she breathed her last during treatment at the Kantipur Burn Hospital. She was taken to the hospital when more than 70% of her body had suffered injuries. Doctors involved in the treatment of parliamentarian Bhandari have said that he has suffered around 25 to 30% injuries in his face, hand and legs. The doctors also concluded that his treatment was not possible in Nepal as his respiratory system could have suffered injuries because of the inhalation of hot air and smoke. Before Bhandari was taken to India, Nepali Congress President Sherbada Dewa, among other leaders and cadres of Nepali Congress and other parties, had reached the hospital to take stock of the situation. Bhandari and his mother Harikala were injured last night at their residence in Buddhanagar, Kathmandu, when a cooking gas exploded. Now, around 50,000 individuals are injured with burns caused by fire, electricity short circuit and acid in the country every year. However, there are no adequate facilities for treatment of the burn victims. Most people are not aware about what should be done immediately after a burn case. Doctors have said that the absence of a well-facilitated hospital has put the lives of patients with burn cases at risk. Most hospitals have only basic treatment for burn patients. While patients with burn cases are treated at Bir, TU Teaching and Patan among other government hospitals in Kathmandu, they do not have a separate intensive care units or the ICU's wards for the treatment of such patients. At the same time, there is a scarcity of specialized doctors for burn cases. Patients with burn cases from outside the Kathmandu Valley have no alternative of reaching the federal capital for treatment. And despite the establishment of a specialized hospital for the treatment of patients with burn cases in Kantipur, the hospital does not have adequate facilities or human resource for treatment of such patients with serious conditions, as they have to be referred outside the country, as it happened in the case of Nepali Congress lawmaker Chandra Bhandari today. The cooking gas users across the country were startled this morning with the news of the unfortunate accident involving Gulmi's parliamentarian Chandra Bhandari while his mother succumbed to her injuries. Reoccurrence of such incidents have been reported since the past few years due to the failure in adopting preventive measures by cooking gas users as well as the negligence of industrialists. However, the concerned authorities have made no initiatives so far to prevent such mishaps. There are more than 15 million cooking gas cylinders of a total of 59 industries across the country. Meanwhile, Nepal's Standards and Metrology Department is the only regulatory body. Several errors are identified during the monitoring done by the department. However, the department has not prioritized regular monitoring and the industrialists have failed to maintain quality of the LPG. The department says a separate body is required for monitoring amid increasing number of industrialists and consumers. These incidents unfortunately recur in the country. However, it has failed to draw the attention of the concerned entities. 9 individuals have died, while 42 have been injured in 34 incidents of cooking gas explosion in the past 3 years. The industrialists complain that they have been made accountable for these accidents despite various possible reasons. The industrialists have been evading from accountability, citing lack of awareness from the consumers, while the authorities have not taken required initiatives. In the year 2070 of the Nepali calendar, the government and LPG industrialists had reached an agreement to spread awareness regarding the use of cooking gas, but it has not been implemented as of yet. The damages caused by gas explosion has been attributed to failure in adopting safety measures. According to Nepal Oil Corporation, more than 70% of incidents of gas explosions occur due to lack of awareness of proper use of the cooking gas. Likewise, experts in the field have recommended to use regulators of good quality. The NOC says 13 million cooking gas cylinders are being used at the moment across the country, while 100,000 cylinders are being used on a daily basis. It is now time for our segment Public Pulse, where you text us with your opinion.
Public Pulse.
But before we ask today's question, let us take a look at the result from yesterday's poll. Yesterday we had asked what should be done to reduce the pressure of cases at courts. And now we move on with today's question. The question is, what should be done to minimize accidents caused by cooking gas? Your options are A. Upgrade cylinder standard, B. Regular checking, and C. Adequate precaution. The voting is on. Type NEWS, select your option A, B or C and send it to 34001 to share your opinion with us. Political parties have not been able to make public their candidate despite expressing concerns about the fast approaching presidential election. Now, at a time when CPN Maoist Center has remained firm in its stand for a national consensus for the presidential candidate, CPN has said that there can be no alternative to its candidate. This polarization between the two major parties of the ruling coalition has brought the ruling coalition at a knife's edge. The CPN Maoist Center is holding parallel talks with both Congress and UML and is yet to clarify on its preference for the presidential post. CPN-UML Chair KP Sharma Oli and Nepali Congress President Sher Bahadur Dewa have remained firm in their respective stances for appointment of their candidate as the president from the presidential election slated for March 9. They have been holding regular talks with Prime Minister and CPN Maoist Center Chairperson Pushpa Kamal Dahal to cement their party's claim for the post. However, Maoist Center has yet to make its stance clear and has been calling for a national consensus. CPN Maoist Center was in a mindset to allocate the presidential post for UML as per the agreement reached on December 25. However, the party is now saying that the political scenario has changed in the face of Prime Minister Dahal receiving the vote of confidence also from Nepali Congress on January 10, as the party has embraced the policy of remaining on good terms with both UML and Congress. Based on their previous agreement, Maoist Center has already supported UML for the election of the House Speaker. CPN Maoist Center now considers that a president from UML would not help ensure political balance, while it would also sour their ties with Nepali Congress. Meanwhile, in his regular parleys with UML Chair Oli, who is also the coordinator of the mechanism of the ruling coalition formed to assist the government, Prime Minister Dahal has sought suggestions regarding a consensus candidate who can bring power balance. However, Oli has been learned to bluntly refute the prospect of such a candidate, making the presidential election next month all the more intriguing and perhaps complicated. Following increase in incidents of public deposits being abused by cooperatives in recent time, the government has begun preparations to strictly monitor the cooperatives by introducing a regulation. Now, procedures have begun to amend the laws which will allow the Nepal Rashtra Bank to regulate cooperatives with transactions exceeding 500 million rupees. The bill presented at the House of Representatives for the amendment of the Money Laundering Prevention Act includes the arrangement which prohibits depositing more than 2.5 million rupees at the cooperatives. Now, cooperatives were introduced with the objective of gathering small savings from depositors to generate capital and ensure their return on investment. However, against the international practice, the trend of depositing funds in cooperatives simply to earn interest has increased in Nepal. In addition to that, cases of fraud where operators of cooperatives abusing the deposits has increased, which has led to the government introducing an arrangement which prohibits depositing more than 2.5 million rupees in the cooperatives. Meanwhile, the responsibility of the monitoring the use of funds is said to be assigned to Nepal Rashtra Bank as well. Now, after the international community drew the government attention towards 15% of total transactions being carried out through the cooperatives, preparations are underway to assign the monitoring role to the central bank. If the cooperatives with transactions exceeding 500 million rupees are to be regulated, the Nepal Rashtra Bank will have to monitor and regulate 400 cooperatives. However, experts have suggested forming a separate entity for monitoring and regulation of the cooperatives. Based on the Cooperatives Act 2017, cooperatives with transactions exceeding 500 million rupees are being regulated by the Department of Cooperatives. However, with the increasing trend of the operators of the cooperatives embezzling members' deposits, questions have surfaced regarding the regulating capacity of the department. Therefore, it was also required to utilize the regulating prowess of the Rashtra Bank to regulate the cooperatives while not affecting or compromising the regulating works of banking and financial institutions. In our Public Voice segment, today we have asked what should be done to hold the microfinances and cooperatives accountable. Let us now take a look at what they had to say.
Public Voice.
यसलाई नियन्त्रण गर्नको लागि सरकारले अनुगमन गर्नु पर्यो
ब्याज चाहिने चर्को नै छ अब गरिब दुखीहरुलाई एकदमै गाह्रो छ
हरेक कुरामा नियमन गर्नुपर्छ त्यो खाली सहकारीको मात्रै कुरा हैन
सहकारी र लघु वित्तहरुले विपन्न जनताहरुलाई यसरी मर्कामा पार्नु हुँदैन
सरकारले अनुगमन तीव्र बनाउनु पर्छ
अनुगमन अलि कडा अनुगमन गर्नु पर्यो र सक्रिय नभएका संस्थाहरुलाई चाहिँ खारेज गर्नु पर्यो
राज्यले तोकिएको मापदण्डलाई यी निकायहरुले फलो गर्नुपर्छ
जसरी बैंकहरु मर्ज भइरहेछन् त्यसरी नै सहकारीहरुलाई पनि मर्ज गर्नुपर्छ
यसको प्रमुख जिम्मेवार भनेको नि राष्ट्रिय बैंक हो
नियम कानुन मात्र बनाएर भएन कि जस्तो जनतालाई लागू हुनु पर्यो कानुनहरु
पढाइ गर्नु पर्यो
यिनीहरु ब्याज दर पनि बढी लिने अनि ब्याजको स्याज लिने
यिनीहरु माथि क्षमता विकासका तालिमहरुको व्यवस्थापन गर्नु पर्ला
Time now for the sports news.
Sports news brought to you by Lakshmi Steel, Nepal mein guaranteed #1 quality. Dish Home 518, ek sahi connection.
Hosts Nepal are to take on Scotland in the ICC World Cricket League 2 series clash slated for tomorrow. Now, Team Nepal must display an impressive all-round performance against Scotland, who are the strongest of the 7 sides competing in the League 2 series. And Nepal are looking to secure their second successive win at the tournament. The hosts had secured a 2-wicket win over Namibia in their first match, where they chased a daunting target of 287 runs, a record chase for Nepal in the one-day internationals. Now, opener Kushal Bhuttel had scored his maiden ODI century in ensuring Nepal's victory. Meanwhile, Scotland themselves thrashed Namibia by 10 wickets to mark a confident start to the series. With the home conditions and the backing of the electric couch support, Nepal skipper Rohit Paudel has said that his side will carry the confidence and energy from the win against Namibia in tomorrow's match. Meanwhile, Scotland batter George Munsey has said that the conditions favourable for spinners will be a major test for his side. Scotland have already won the League 2 series following their win against Namibia, while a win for Nepal will keep the hosts' hopes of finishing among the top 3 alive. With 20 points from 25 matches, Nepal are placed 6th in the points table and must win at least 8 of the remaining 11 matches to retain their ODI status. With 4 matches played between Nepal and Scotland in the League 2 series, Nepal have won only one of them. The match, which will be played at the Tribhuvan University Cricket Grounds in Kantipur, will begin at 9 a.m. tomorrow. Now, more than 8,000 athletes are to participate in the 17th edition of the Pokhara Marathon slated for Saturday. Participants from 16 nations have registered their names for the marathon. At a press meet held today, organizers ex-spokesperson forum informed that all the preparations for the marathon have been completed. Now, participants from countries including Kenya, Ethiopia, the United States of America, Switzerland, India and France, among others, are to compete at the event. 150 individuals have registered their names for the open marathon, while 34 have registered for the half marathon. Meanwhile, in the 10,000 meters race, 600 are to compete in the men's category, while 300 will run in the women's category. Champion of the previous edition, Stephen Kosogi of Kenya, and runner-up Simon Kipglatt will also participate in the marathon. Meanwhile, 1,600 boys and 950 girls are to run the 5-kilometer race. The wheelchair race includes 47 participants, while the blind category includes 90 participants. Meanwhile, more than 5,000 are to participate in the Run for Fun segment. All races, including the marathon, will begin from the Pokhara Stadium this Saturday morning. The organizers are to use electric timing to measure the race and distance of the participants. This edition of the marathon has also been recognized by the Association of International Marathons and Distance Races. Winners of the marathon will receive a cash purse of 500,000 rupees. Meanwhile, winners of all 8 segments will receive cash awards totaling an amount of 9.3 million rupees. Up next is the weather update. That is all for the moment. Up next is the news in Nepali. Thank you for staying with us. Goodbye for now.